mood, baby.
We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause we been.
Y'all better get comfortable with saying black.
We in here, yeah, we in here,
Black versus the Board of Education.
'cause we came here, rid of us now. We in here, yeah, we in here, 'cause we came here, rid of us now. And you know that we don't ever go to the truth.
That's why we are indeed a whole mood.
That's it.
A little like just give me just a like, you know. Thank you. You know, Sherman's new on the board today, and he's starting off slow. We're gonna have to get him up to speed. Hey, what's up, party people? It is November 6th. That means it is another episode of Black versus the Board of Education. My name is Miss Laureen, and I welcome you to this space as the captain of the ship. We have a full house today. Most of us are here in the studio, so I'm so excited about that. Today we are talking about words hurt. And it's important that we talk about this. This is part 3 of our mindfulness series. As we've said, everyone on this staff, minus our 2 newest staff members, but they'll be coming along right nicely, are actually trained as facilitators for a program called MBSAT for short. It stands for Mindfulness-Based Substance Abuse Treatment. And so we've been facilitating classes for the last, year and some change in various places. And I'm just so excited to get to this topic because I think there's a perception that people can say whatever the hell they want to because they want to say it and it has no impact. And so we're going to be diving into that today. But before we do that, we are going to introduce who you will be hearing from today. Last week he was in the car. Today he done pulled up on us. So let's start here and then we'll go around, get some introductions. You did not pull my Melissa up, so I want her to see everybody. Go ahead. Let's start with right here, and then we're going to go around, and then Melissa will bring up the rear.
My name is Carlos Simpson. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to be with you guys today. Nice to all. But child advocate, case manager, sentencing planner.
Okay.
Amongst a few other things. Coach.
And what's so funny, so I was going through my phone yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday? I have a picture of me and Carlos like 4 years ago when he came in up to the state capitol. During our boot camp series. So, full circle. Things happen full circle. Miss Ma'am, it's your turn. It's on you. Introduce yourself.
Hey, it's your girl, Keela. I don't know. But anyways, everybody stays making fun of me here. We knew that. But I'm doing good today.
Okay.
It's Monday, so I'm just getting ready to prepare for the topic.
Are you excited about the topic?
I'm a little sensitive, but we're gonna get there.
Okay. Well, we'll deal with the sensitive in a little bit. Hey, Miss Lady.
Hey everyone, it's Layla. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm chilling.
Okay.
New, never been on a podcast before, so we'll see how this goes.
First time for everything. We love it. We love it over here. Sir.
Hello, my name's Adrian. It's a good Monday. No complaints.
No complaints. I love it. Miss Lady, it's on you. Hey.
Hi, my name is Melissa. I am a senior in SoCal, and today I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk about it. I tried to not come to this episode, but you made me come today, so I'm here and I'm ready to talk about it.
Listen, I had to drag Layla in here. Anaya's like, I sent you some notes. I said, notes for what? She said, tomorrow, girl. Everybody's trying to avoid this topic, and it's because it's one of those topics, it makes people uncomfortable, right? To relive harsh things that were said about you or to you, right? It's hard and it's difficult, but part of being mindful is knowing where that trigger lies. And later on, we're going to have an opportunity to dispense with some of that foolishness. And I'm going to throw something in the fire too. So, I'm not just asking you guys to do it. I'm going to participate too. So you ready?
Let's talk about it.
Okay. So, I'm just going to start with the questions because I think that it's important that we just start to lay like kind of the foundation. So have you ever experienced the power of words, whether positive or negative, in your life? And how did they impact you? Don't just look at me. It's a podcast. Y'all got to talk. Melissa, I'm going to go to you first. Have you ever experienced the power of words, whether positive or negative, in your life, and how did they impact you?
I have experienced both. More positive than negative, but the ones that were negative had, I don't want to say a greater impact, but a different impact, because it was some of the first times I had heard really negative words, and most of those experiences, most of the negative experiences were in the education system, and were teachers. And the positive words have been a lot of different people around me, and they both impacted me very differently, and turned me into the person I am today. And I know that, like, when I first started with BYLP and started on the podcast, I was extremely quiet. And that was because of some of those negative words and things that teachers had said to me. But then over the years, more positive words kind of changed me to the person that I am today.
And so, just so we can put a label on that, what is it called when folks say negative things or put you down consistently and specifically in the education system? What do we refer to those as? Everybody's stuck.
Bullies? No.
Well, they are bullies, absolutely. But they can be seen as microaggressions, right? They call it micro, I call it macro, because you're doing it on purpose and you have this power dynamic that is at play, and you have a lot of hurt adults hurting children, and we have to talk about that. So you tell me about the time, or it says, have you ever experienced the power of words, both either positive or negative?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, like Melissa was saying, probably both. But for the negative ones, I would say the negative words that I experienced as a kid bred into insecurities that I had during high school. So I think that's what the power of words can do to someone, is breed insecurities and breed just negativity around you.
Yeah. Carlos. He said,
It's funny because I was just having this conversation with an individual about my stepdad at the time.
Okay.
I was like maybe 4. And out of all the arguments I've seen him and mom have, the one that stuck to me for a long time was, you and your crumb snatcher can go on your way.
Oh.
And I'm like, damn, crumb snatcher. Like at 4.
Yikes.
Like, what's that? But whatever it was at the time, the tone of the voice made me know that it made me seem worthless.
Okay.
And man.
And that was at 4.
4.
Did you just flash back to being 4 right this second?
Of course.
Okay. I saw that. I saw that. Because adults do things, right? And they say things, and they, first of all, they don't think kids hear for whatever reason, and y'all nosy, right?
Extremely.
So we hear a lot. And then it's like they expect you to get over it. Yeah, I saw that picture when you posted it, and I'm like, huh.
Oh, I got another one. No.
Okay. Yeah, Layla, talk to me. Have you ever experienced the power of words, either positive or negative?
Yes. I feel like growing up, I heard more negative than positive, and that led in kind of what Adrian was saying, like led into my older self and insecurities and trying to reframe that and rework that. But yeah, a lot from like also what Melissa said, from teachers, faculty, church leaders, stuff like that.
Okay, so church leaders are in that.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Church leaders are in that.
Okay, we're gonna talk about it. Miss Keela, what do you think?
I mean, like everyone's saying too, right? Like definitely positive and negative. I think more of the negative things kind of stuck more to me specifically, because obviously, I don't know. I think it just depends on like what was being said, but like I know specifically for me, what I struggled with for a long time was like kind of like self identity, because obviously I'm super light, right? And everyone thinks I'm like white or whatever. So then like
Who thinks that?
Girl, you tell me. I don't know, but yeah, like I said, I've gotten it from teachers, family, literally. Oh, like, is that your dad? Da, 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 all this stuff. And like I have 2 little sisters, and they're also the same color as me, but like they didn't get it as much as I did. So yeah, I just feel like it kind of shaped me like I used to lie to people and say I was white just so they would leave me alone, you know. But as I got older, that's why I was so strongly about working here, because I was like, oh my gosh, I get to like help girls identify as being Black, regardless of what color, shape, form, however you are. So yeah, I feel like it shaped me to be positive about it now, and I had to switch it. But I mean, yeah, it was really negative for a really long time.
Interesting. And so we know that words have the ability to shape reality, right? Um, I remember growing up, the scripture they always used to say was, life and death are in the power of the tongue, right? Which means that you can break somebody with your tongue or you can build them up. So when you guys are talking about negative words, and it sounds like those have more of a sticking point or more of a prominence in your mind than anything positive. I just want to challenge you right now. Can you think of a positive thing that somebody has said? I know the episode today is words hurt, but I want to know if, because the negative stuff we can recall like this, but can you recall some positive words that were spoken to you? And I see he has his hand up. And so I'm going to go to Carlos and then I'm going to come to Melissa.
And I don't know how positive it was, but it was in a negative setting. And it was told to me as I'm unpacking my trauma, right?
Yeah.
A youngster, that's not normal, right?
And
then it's not your fault. Those two things that were said.
Yeah.
It lifted everything off of me as opposed to blaming and being upset.
Yeah.
To damn. So if I went through all that and that's not normal, and I still grin and laugh and sarcastic or whatever, that must mean something. And it unlocked the power, unlike anything else, because it gave me an opportunity to start realizing and looking into myself, my culture, my purpose, my family, stuff like that. So, yeah, those are two things that I always talk to young men about, especially if they're going through things, is we normalize, or at least say functioning in your dysfunction, and being able to understand that wasn't none of that normal. It unlocked something in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Melissa? Something positive.
Something positive. I think it's so hard to recall like specific, like you said, we can recall specific negative things and I can think about the positive scenario, but it's a little harder to recall positive, like the actual positive comments. But one that I can think of is you should be proud of yourself. I put in a lot of work, especially like on my school campus, to do a lot of things. And even today, my advisor for the BSU told me that I should be really proud of myself because we're making a lot of different moves, and I'm handing off the presidency to someone else. So we're working on that. And he said I should be proud of myself, and I am.
That's dope. That's dope. Keela?
So when I was in elementary school, I won an award for never being absent or late. So they like recognized me or whatever, and they made me they got me a bike. And they like asked my mom about it, like how big I was, how tall I was, and all that stuff. So it could like just be for me. And like they told me I should be proud of myself because literally people struggle to go to school and all that stuff. But like I literally made sure I went to school on time every day, regardless. I don't think I really got sick that much. But yeah, I literally made it to school. So I feel like that carried me through that.
Adrian?
One particular moment stands out when I was in 6th grade. My teacher, only Black teacher I've ever had, she told me, "You're smarter than you think you are." And for me, that kind of reframed my mindset going into school because I used to doubt myself a lot and thinking I couldn't do homework or test or there's no point in studying. I wasn't going to get anyway. And when she told me that, it made me realize that like she sees potential in me.
Got it. Layla?
For me, was in high school. My choir teacher, when she was handing out awards, I always thought that she didn't like me for some reason. But when she was giving a speech about each student, she said, for Layla, when you speak, people listen. And for me, I always thought when I spoke, people didn't really care what I said. And so that kind of like led into me like not wanting to speak, not wanting to be in front of people. And her giving me that compliment when I thought she didn't really care about me reinforced the fact that when I have stuff to say and people want to listen to it.
Dope. I love that. I think I can recall two things. One time I was told that I was a force to be reckoned with, and I think I am, right? I mean, they made me believe it, doggone it. And the second one, I remember I had a boss at the state capitol, and he's like, "What are you doing here? You are too smart and too capable to be in this building. You need to be doing something else." And I'm just like, "Really? Me?" And then I got to see him a couple weeks ago, and he reminded me, so I had to shout him out. So shout out to a former assembly member, Alberto Tarico, who has always told me that I was one of the smartest people in the room, and that I did not belong stuck at the Capitol. So shout out to him. When we're talking, so you're it seems like y'all had to think really hard about the positives. So flashing to the negatives, right? What type of coping skills did you have to develop in order to move forward, even though you had these words attached to your back? Whatever coping skills, you can give me a coping skill. I don't want to say it has to be any type. I want to know what you did to keep moving forward after these words attached themselves to you.
I think for me, when it happened, when I was getting negative comments and stuff like that, I kind of just ignored it when it happened, and that's like not healthy, of course. But getting older, I'm now unpacking those negative moments and negative words now as I'm in my adulthood. But before, I didn't really do anything to.
You didn't deal with them.
I didn't deal with it. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's yeah. Adrian, what do you think?
For me, in the moments, like when I would get negative words towards me, I'd always have to have a comeback. So I'd have to say something worse than they said to me.
Okay.
So I guess that's a coping thing, is making them feel more pain than they made me feel. With their
Okay.
words.
All right. So you took their negative words and said negative words back.
Yes.
Okay. Keela.
For me, I had to do a lot of self-reflecting. So I had to, tell myself that I was beautiful, looked myself in the mirror, told myself 100 times a day for like a couple months, and just, kind of tried to push through it, and obviously dropped friends that wouldn't support me. But yeah, I feel like I kind of just had to learn how to be confident at such a young age. So yeah, I feel like that's kind of what I was doing, just reassuring.
Melissa?
I didn't have any coping skills. I didn't do anything about it. Like the first time I heard something extremely negative, I was in 7th grade. And it's because I had been homeschooled my entire life. And so one of my first experiences at a 5-day-a-week public school, a teacher told me that I asked too many questions and I was being disruptive, and that I basically should not talk. And that really impacted me. And I stopped talking. I didn't ask questions. I barely passed her class because I was confused, but I didn't feel like I should ask any questions. I was one of 2 Black kids in her class. And she said the same thing to the other kids, one of my other classmates as well. And so I was like, 11 or 12 in 7th grade. I didn't have any coping skills. I kind of just internalized it. And poetry, I found poetry the next year in 8th grade, like towards the middle of the school year. And that is what ended up helping me. But that was like a year and a half later. And so I lost a lot of valuable time. But poetry kind of helped me find my voice and find myself. And then I met you, Miss Lorene, and then you helped me break out of my shell. But yeah, at the time, I didn't really have any coping skills.
Don't try to get me to cry out early in the episode, young lady. You hear him? You heard that? I'm ignoring that. He said that.
Hey, both our glasses went on the table. You already know what time it is. Yeah, you know what time it is.
Because it's so important. Like I hear this all the time, in terms of going from school to school, place to place. And when I met Melissa, we were right at the pandemic, right? And we were trying to figure out how we can pour into young people. And, I think I told y'all this story. We tried to do a hotline, me and one other person. I fell asleep. I can't stay up 24 hours. I learned that. And I'm like, what else can we do? And I know that we did a boot camp, a virtual boot camp. And then we launched our support network. So Black Boys Support Network and Black Girls Support Network. But in that time, I'm sitting here and I'm one of these people. I will give all day. If I have it, if I got it, if I got time, money, whatever, I will give. But I learned that my coping mechanism to deal with negative that are coming at me is to serve other people. And that doesn't always leave time for me to figure out life for myself, right? And so as I'm listening to Melissa, and she said she's found poetry in poetry. She's a fantastic poet. She's a phenomenal poet. And I hope, and I so desperately want you guys to find positive things to pour your time into, because I think a lot of times adults assume, older adults, because you guys are going into adulthood or you're in early adulthood, we assume that you all have the skills or the coping tools that we have at the big age we are, as folks would say. So what I'm wondering, and I want you to answer too. I don't remember the question. Y'all remember the question? What I asked? Oh, your coping skills. How do you cope with the things that have been said to you?
I'm learning how to actually understand what coping means.
Okay.
But I would kind of rather, I'm not trying to twist the question. A defense mechanism, a survival tactic, was to fight and learn how to be sarcastic.
Okay.
So if my clothes and some of my things was dirty, I learned how to talk about myself before I got on you, and you just figured, okay, I'm gonna leave his ass alone. You know what I'm saying? He don't stop. So either we can bag back and forth, or we can fight. Either way, you're not gonna win. So leave me alone because I'm vulnerable, but I'm not gonna show that.
Yeah. And I see these comments, and Mr. Jordan, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. I don't know. How come I don't know. He fell asleep on the front row. So you tell me why I gave him a hard time at the conference. And Miss Tawana, thank you for pushing her to come to the boot camp. I was surprised. I think, did we have like 35, 40 kids on?
Yeah, it was about that many.
And I'm doing it from my living room. You know what I mean? I had to push all the laundry off to the side so nobody. But we stayed on the computer, I want to say several hours a day.
Like all day.
Yeah.
All day for like a week.
Yeah. Yeah. We had writing workshops. We had Prentice Powell, the national poet, come through. We had different folks, Stephan, who is with the child abuse prevention and on the board here at BYLP. He came through. Like, we just had Miss Mariana came through. Like, it was so many adults who cared at that time. And we just poured into these young people for a whole week because we wanted to connect with them. And what I learned at that time is there was more trauma present in the school system than we initially thought. And our children were suffering at higher rates because nobody cares the things that they say to them and how it impacts them moving forward. So I was just wondering, do you guys think, this is for our youngsters on this panel today. Do you guys think that folks assume that you really have different coping skills, or that you can tolerate their foolishness? Do you really think that people assume that about you because you're young and you're supposed to be resilient? I hate that word because they use it towards you guys all the time, that y'all supposed to be resilient. I don't want y'all to have to survive. You know what I mean? I want you to have the opportunity to just be. So, Melissa, do you think people assume things about you, honey?
I don't think they care, because if they're saying these hurtful and negative things to you, they want them to impact you. If they thought that you had good coping skills, they wouldn't say it to you, because they would know that it wouldn't get to you. If you had the skills and devices to be able to let it roll off of your back, they know that it wouldn't impact you and they wouldn't say anything. I feel like they target certain people because they want it to hurt you. And like, if they say something to one person and they have super good coping skills and they're not letting it affect them, then they're not going to continuously keep hurting that person unless they are extremely persistent and want to eventually break down that person and break down their coping skills. But if they actually cared about you having good coping skills, then they wouldn't attack you, because that's what it is. It's an attack.
Yeah. Yeah. Adrian?
I think people do assume that, at least for me, I can take it more, probably because I'm more nonchalant and I don't really show emotion like that. So they'll think, oh, he probably just rubbed it off, or it's easy for him to brush that kind of stuff off. But that's stuff that, as far as words, that's stuff that you really think about when you're by yourself, and it runs through your head, and you try to forget about it by doing other stuff, but it's constant.
Yeah. Keela?
Sorry, it's so weird. I kind of agree with Melissa, but at the same time, it's just like, like what Adrian was saying too. Like, you think about that when you're alone or like whatever, and you could clap back at somebody however you want, and like it still shows that you are the power move. But like, what does that do to you at night?
Right.
Like, that really sticks. And I feel like you could show all those tools, you could show you don't care, but like, what's that really doing though? Because it's still words, and at the end of the day, some people are really thinking about it.
But is it that you don't care?
I mean, I definitely care. I let people know if I bother, but that's just me now. Because I feel like I had to learn that though. You know what I mean? I used to let people walk all over me, but now I'm just like, no, like, you're gonna know I'm upset. You're gonna know this. You're gonna know you were rude for saying that. Like, I don't know, but yeah.
And so, in your experience, Layla, how does the use of hurtful language affect relationships?
Great question.
Thank you.
Repeat it one more time.
Yeah, can you repeat it one more time?
Of course. In your experience, how does hurtful language affect relationships?
Yeah, I guess growing up, I was always the only black kid, only black girl, and I was always got called too dark, ugly. My hair is too nappy. And so that affected relationships going on because I had insecurities of that I'm not beautiful. And so that affected the partners that I would be with and how I perceived myself. I was always trying to get their validation. I wasn't getting my own validation. And I didn't know self-love. And that's what I need. Like, you need self-love in order to be in a relationship, because then you're always seeking that self-love from another person. And so that's what I would do in friendships, relationships, because I didn't know where else to get that validation from. And like, for me, like, I'm a Christian, so I learned to get that validation from God first, and that helped me to really look in myself and like, you are beautiful. Like, who calls you beautiful? God calls you beautiful.
Beautifully and
my
wonderfully
parents call me
made.
beautiful. Yes, exactly. And just like surrounding myself with people who generally are like in my corner, and I had to learn who would really be in my corner and who's just there just to be there. And so that affected insecurities affected my relationships. And then also in school, I got called stupid a lot by my teachers, and that just affected thinking that I was dumb, like I didn't know how to do anything or read or do math or stuff like that. And that affected how I saw myself doing anything, basically, because my sister, I have a twin sister, she was the smart one and I was the dumb one. And yeah, she just was always seen as like the prize kid, and I was seen as like the troubled kid who needed help. And I didn't like, and so I played in that role of like, okay, like, if people are labeling me as this, I must be that. And so I played in that then instead of changing that role.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. Carlos, how do negative words affect relationships in your experience? And I do see, before you answer, we are talking about words hurt. This is the third part of our mindfulness series. I do see Mr. Jordan's comment in the chat. For me, it acts as a solvent on the bonds of the relationship. And is that the glue, or what does that mean? I mean, break it down for us in the chat, so we can make sure we understand what it is you're trying to communicate. Mr. Carlos. And make sure you put your mouth on the microphone so we can hear you.
I remember times that I've said something and could not take it back, like,
oh yeah,
trying to grab it. But I'm still learning how to do that in a healthy way.
Okay.
Because not whenever, but at times in the past that I felt attacked, which may have just been something as common as, hey, I'm kind of like pulling you up because I see something that you're not doing that's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
I consider that an attack. And I would just go off the Richter with the same way I would lash out in a physical way. I would always lash out in a psychological way. And once I realized that that actually is more detrimental than putting my hands on somebody,
Yeah.
I started using that as a weapon, not knowing that I was weaponizing something and crushing egos and everything else. And it wasn't about it was still a defense mechanism from being attacked from others. I would just shut it down. So that same way of addressing things spilled over in relationships with people that I really cared for, really loved. And like even in my relationship now, it's like I honestly had to tell this individual, hey, I'm learning how to do these things. I'm learning how to love myself. So if you can be patient through this, we got something going.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just hard to admit verbally that I'm not equipped like
Yeah.
whatever we would consider the average individual to be, and yeah, I'm learning how difficult that is for people to actually hold you accountable for things that you say
Yeah.
and express to you how that made them feel
Mm-hmm.
and what they went through. That's a deep healing process.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think that a lot of times we think that the words that we say aren't as harsh, or because we didn't mean it in a specific way, that it wasn't taken in that way. And that's why it's really, really difficult, especially if you're texting or you're posting something on social media, because people can put a voice to those things, even if that's not what you meant. It's not what you say, it's how it was said. And I'll take it a step further, it's how it was perceived, right? And so I think about the different coping things that I employ, right? Um, I am a cutoff artist.
Mm.
You hand me the scissors, I'm going to use them because I'm one of those people that I'm long suffering. Like I will take people's crap over and over and over. But at some point, we got to stop the hemorrhaging, right? And the only way I know how to do that is if I cut people off, because I can say yes a million times. The one time I say no, people act a fool.
Yep.
And so I have to distance myself. I'm very good at compartmentalizing. So you will never know that I'm upset about something. I'll just come in and I'll cut you off and I'll keep it moving. It's like I never knew you. And I don't know if that's healthy, but it's the way that I survive.
For who?
I don't know. I mean, it's just the way that I survive, because when you're such a giving person, people take that as a weakness. And it's a strength to give when you have to give, and sometimes when you don't have to give. If I don't have money, I got some time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And people will take advantage of that. And they'll keep taking. And I remember one time, this person I was with at the time, he said that I have this personality where people will throw stuff at me and I'll keep trying to catch it. However, when my hands get full, people are still throwing stuff and you're trying to catch it, but everything else is falling too. And so I'm learning how to, I don't know. I think I'm just learning how to keep people away from me, to be honest, because everybody who is around you doesn't belong in your front row.
Mm.
Everybody can't be only there for the good parts, because there's going to be some trying times in life. I don't need people just here for the good times. I need people who are going to be here when stuff gets hard, because life is going to get hard and there are going to be challenges. And so I'm looking at it and it says, what role does social media and online communication play in the way that words can hurt? Adrian, I'll start with you and then Melissa.
I think social media can affect the way words hurt, because now it's not only between me and you, it's other people are seeing it as well. So now it's not only did what they say hurt you, now it's I'm embarrassed that what you said other people can see, and now they think the same thing.
Ooh, yep, yep. Keela, or I'm sorry, Melissa, Adrian. Like Sherman tells me, that was a bar. Like, that's what he tells me all the time. Melissa, how does social media play in the way words can hurt?
I think it can go even a step further than that. Like people, even if it isn't personal, and like Adrian was saying, at first it was personal between me and you, and now everyone else is seeing kind of like our situation or whatever's happening. I think it can go a step further, and the things that are happening around the world. And I know we've talked about this when we talk about like current events that are affecting like the Black community. Even the words that are happening in other situations that are not directly connected to us, we can still internalize them. And we've talked about being desensitized to all of these things. So when we come onto the podcast and talk about the same story with a different name, we're desensitized to it, and we're internalizing all of this because it's something that is so normalized on social media. So it's not just the personal words in one situation, but the things that are happening in the news, the things that are happening that are so easily accessible online. Those impact you without you even knowing it. It's happened subconsciously.
And Joaquin says intention versus impact. Yeah, for sure. Social media, how does it contribute to words hurting?
I think it contributes also because
are you thinking?
I'm thinking, but like I had it in my head and then I thought of something and now I'm like, but like I don't know, like it could also play because of like even stuff you post, right? Like or like people can share everything. It can get spread so much faster. It can literally get out like that. Like, oh, say I'm talking about Layla and then she's over here trying to ask me to delete it or whatever. And then it's like, oh, okay, but then this person, like Adrian shared it and then you also shared it. And now it's like, okay, it just spreads so what?
Viral.
Yeah, exactly though. Like, you know what I mean? Like it could literally get to a split second like that. So like one perception or something of you could literally be out, or not even of you, but just of anybody else.
I also think that when people say stuff to you over social media, it's almost as like you're told how you're supposed to take that, or like how you're supposed to respond, or how you're supposed to feel. And it's almost like, well, okay, am I supposed to feel her, or am I supposed to just brush it off? Because we're always like getting that stereotype of like, this generation is so soft, like you guys take things so seriously. And then it's almost like, okay, let me not take that as seriously and let me just brush it off, when it's actually like hurtful and trauma, and they don't know like where that trauma is coming from and why you're acting that way.
Well, I just think people are hella mean on social media.
Like, I was gonna say like say for instance somebody's talking about you, right? And then it's like, okay, or like vice versa, they're talking about their friend. Like, what if you choose not to respond to that? Now you look scary. Yeah, exactly. Like you're like, what's she gonna say about that? Yeah, like it's like, yeah, what are you gonna say about me now? Or like, you know, oh, she's not gonna talk, I'm gonna just keep going. So like that could literally interfere within your personal and how you're processing.
Well, and I'm just a lot of times people just, you got a lot of keyboard warriors out here.
Yes.
And you got a lot of people just jaw jacking online because they think that you won't hold them accountable. And that's what we saw when these schools opened up after, I don't know, a year and a half of being online and people, you know, jaw jacking back and forth. And then they see each other. It's like it's on site. Right. And I'm just like, you know, it contributes sometimes because the people posting the negative stuff are anonymous.
That's what I was actually going to get onto. Like,
come on.
It's inviting.
Yeah.
Social media is inviting no matter how you look at it. It's inviting. So it's inviting without actually processing what you're going through at the time.
Right.
So it's anonymous in a lot of places. So yes, people can get very bold. That energy would not be the same in person under no circumstances whatsoever.
Yeah.
But on top of that, people react to what people post and they do without thinking a lot. And when you're stuck in that scroll, you know what I'm saying? It's easy to have a comment without even processing for 5 seconds. Well, why did they post that? Or why, you know what I'm saying? But you've made a comment already, and by the time you think about it, there's 20 comments after yours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it goes and it takes on. It's like any story. You tell a story to 3-4 people. By the time it gets to the fourth person, it's not that story. You You know, so and it's easier to run with something than it is to process something. It's just easy. You know, so I don't want to sit here and think about what that person was going through. It's just easier for me to say something stupid because hurt people hurt.
Right.
So social media is like a dopamine hit in a lot of ways.
Come on.
So when you
because
when
I was
you in
like,
that stage,
people living for them likes.
Yeah.
Let's
So-
keep it a buck.
so you went at when you in that
he said the
dopamine stage.
dopamine hit.
No,
Like,
for real, but like
come
when you-
on, and be set.
but
Let's
when
go.
but when you in that stage, you're not thinking clearly.
You're at your highest.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm living. I'm feeling myself.
Ooh, come on,
And
feel
when
yourself.
when you feeling stuff, you're not no, but you're not thinking logically.
Right.
You know, and I'm just that comes from personal experience, but it also comes from observation as well.
Yeah.
If I'm on one right now and when I'm on a natural high, I'm not mindful of certain things. Not trying to throw a little mindful out there, but
Come on, Mike.
Way to plug our little
You
mind.
see?
Hey.
I was looking at, because I was going through some memes today, and this one says, words don't have the power to hurt you unless the person means a lot to you. Do you agree or disagree?
Ooh.
I think it could hurt differently,
Mm-hmm.
but like overall, no. If you're somebody random and you said something about my presence and I'm insecure, that could have a huge impact on me. I don't know this person, and they had the audacity to come up to me and tell me about that, like me. But then it's different if it's like your mom, like, oh, you need to, you looking rough. Like, okay, like whatever. That's my mom. She's tripping. Like you could have different perceptions on things. So I don't think it could matter depending on what, I mean, I guess, but like overall, I don't think so because it could literally have a different effect on you. You could be a person that cares so much about other people's opinions, but don't care about your circle because you're not close with them. It could literally go either or.
I see Melissa's mouth moving. That must mean she wants to talk to me. What you talking about, girl?
Words are a configuration of the same 26 letters of the alphabet. It does not matter who it comes from.
Come on, poet.
A word that hurts you. Words can, like you said, uplift you or they can hurt you. But like Keela was saying, okay.
Sorry, it was a bar.
But like Keela was saying, it can feel differently depending on who it's coming from. If it's someone you care about, that can hurt me a lot more than a stranger saying something. But at the same time, if it's a stranger and you have a problem with me and I don't know you, that also hurts a lot more than maybe someone that I know, because how do you not know me and you have a problem with me? So then you internalize the words regardless. Even if they're positive words, we internalize them. We internalize everything that we come into contact with. It doesn't matter who the words come from. We internalize them.
I feel like also though too.
Put your mouth.
I feel like also too, like if you have a perception on yourself and somebody, regardless of who it is, says that about you and you already believe it, it's 10 times worse. Like you could, like someone's calling you ugly and you
whether
feel,
you know them or not,
and you feel that way, you're gonna take it. You know what I mean? Like you're going to feel that regardless of who that is from, because you already are in your mindset that you believe that.
So is it based on mindset at the time?
I mean, it could be like
because like when you were saying what you were saying, I was like,
okay, let me give you an example.
Okay.
So like, how I was talking about earlier, how like when I was younger, people were like saying about my skin color or whatever. I wish somebody now would say I'm not black. Girl, bye. Like, I really don't care now.
So okay.
But during that time, since I was already in questioning of myself,
right.
But now I know who I am, it's different because now I'm like, okay, you could say that. I really don't care. Like I've gotten that my whole life.
Is that maturity? Do you think?
I mean,
Wisdom, maturity, all of that.
I think it could be everything. I just think like, yeah, it just depends on how you got yourself to that point, right? Like regardless of whatever you were using to cope, or like whether you just dealt with something and you got tired of it, which happened to me. I was like, okay, well, you could say that. That's fine. I really don't care.
Well, let me ask you this. So with people do you allow more things to happen before you distance yourself? Or do you continue to allow them to be around you because you know them?
No, I don't. No, I don't allow them. Like if you say like I won't give you extra chances for what? If you're supposed to be in my corner and you're supposed to be there for me, you shouldn't even like, unless you're really saying something that's facts and like I'm doing an action. But other than that, like you're just saying something just to say it. No. Like, I'm not about to keep you in my life for what? You're not positive. I only need that right now, regardless if I'm down bad or I'm up high.
Adrian?
What was the question?
Do you accept more from people that you know in terms of the way that they treat you? Do you accept more? And this is personally. Do you accept more from people?
Yeah, I would say I do. Just because it's like it's a relationship that we've built over the years, whether it's family or friends. We've known each other for a long time. So it's like, if you say or treat me a certain way, then there had to be a reason why.
You said there had to be a reason why?
I do. I think so. If it's like we've been with each other for 10 years and all of a sudden now it's like you're treating me something way different. It's like, okay, what brought us to this point? And if it's something I did or it's something that they're internalizing themselves and just projecting onto me, then it's two different things.
Would you say that's an expectation though?
We can't hear you.
Oh. Would you say that's like an expectation though? Like as a friend, how you hold that? If that makes sense.
Expectation of what?
Like you have that expectation of, since like you said you have like something has to be going on. Like do you expect that or like do you just
with my circle of friends, I do expect that. Because like we joke around a lot. And I would say we know when too far is too far. So we know what lines not to cross, so basically. Got boundaries. Yeah. So once someone steps over that line, then it's like, okay.
That was weird.
You start questioning the friend. Like,
I got a quick question. Do you guys ever say, "Man, my feelings was hurt"?
I do.
No, but right.
No, do you?
But like amongst the
no,
is that like an out of the question to say that to one of your partners?
Yeah.
No. I mean,
no, like seriously.
So I'm thinking, like, yeah, I've known them since third grade. I don't think I've ever said that.
Wow. Do you think they would? Do you think they would further push it away, like, "Oh man, you're tripping" or whatever, or would they actually acknowledge it? Or that's a hard thing to say to somebody as a young man.
I don't know. I've never been in a situation. Like, I genuinely don't know how it would go.
And that's a trip because my dad just said for the first time his feelings hurt. His dad is due to 60-some years old.
For the first time?
6 months ago.
Is that because the assumption is that you're not supposed to have feelings? Men are not supposed to have feelings?
On top of feelings are perceived as a weakness, vulnerable. And nobody wants to be vulnerable or perceived to be weak. Because what we continue to do is take advantage of that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a man, but I understand where you're coming from for sure.
And because I say that because I remember you were telling me how the perception of people, when they say things, because I came from a culture where somebody that did not know you said things, that was generally a setup.
No, yeah.
It was a setup?
Yeah, because in the culture that I grew up in, a lot of things get baited.
Okay.
And whatever you got going on, which is your thing, knocking you off your square is the ultimate goal of people that don't have the same thing going on. And you're a representation of what they are not.
Ooh.
And that's a hard thing for people to accept on any level of the spectrum.
Wow.
So they'll attack that at all means, and they'll take the L to knock you off your square, because what you got to lose is way worse than what they got to lose.
Facts.
So that's like, I'll be more famous getting punched out because he just lost his scholarship. Type of things. Yeah. So like you have to perceive what somebody's saying as either bait or setup.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that it has to be that way, but that was the perception at that point in time growing up,
Wow. And you know what? That's interesting because I said the same thing probably, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago. I'm like, yeah, I'm not sitting in a conversation with whoever that was they were trying to do a family meeting.
Right.
I was like, I'm not sitting in no conversation with them because I don't know what the goal is and I got a lot to lose. Right. And it's just like, does that mean I'm punking out? Does that mean, you know what I mean? Overthinking. I don't know what it meant, but I wasn't going because I'm like, anybody could do anything. They could tape you. They could, they could edit things nowadays. They don't care about what's going on. All they know is they don't want you to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, we have to be very, very careful with the words that we're speaking to one another, the words that we're allowing people to speak, because I believe people put curses on people with their words. Right. They do. And you could internalize that and things start going wrong and you're like, well, what the heck happened? Because somebody done said something to you, and without you really thinking about it, it starts to become your reality.
Virus.
And I can't do it. I can't do it. And it looks like we're almost running out of time, y'all. We only got 10 minutes left. Oh my gosh.
What?
Can you think of a time when you regretted something you said? Anybody? Melissa, anybody? Can anybody think of a time they regretted it? And everybody's getting quiet. Oh Lord. Okay. They don't. She said, "I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to share it."
I ain't gonna have nobody looking at me different.
Let me think. I mean, because I have to think too. I'm sure I've said a bunch of things. And the reason why I'm thinking is because it could have been something that I brushed off, right? But the other person may have perceived it different. And I'm sure my husband would come in here and he'll tell you, because like some stuff's come out of my mouth and he'd be like, don't talk to me like that. I'm like, what did I say? Because I don't think, you know what I mean? I don't think I'm saying it in a certain way, but it's coming across. And, one thing about women, we slick with our tongue. We are slick with our tongue, and we will say things and we won't think anything of it because we have been conditioned to not think that they feel anything because they're unemotional. Let's keep it a buck. Can we? Ladies, can we? Okay. All right. We're going to do that because look at they like, don't put me in that. Don't put me in that. But it's the truth. Sometimes we say things and we don't realize how it's coming out. We may not mean them in a specific way, but it hurts nonetheless. Because my husband has told me that that's too far, too much. You're doing too much. And I'm like, what happened? Like, and then I found myself saying, don't make me, not to him, but to other people, don't make me treat you like I do the school board.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? I've said that before because people are testing me,
right.
and they're doing things, and it's like a constant nagging or a picking at you. And I feel like sometimes I'm doing 225 different things. If I got to stop what I'm doing to address you, it's not going to be pretty. Yeah. And so I try not to do that, because I know that my words are something, and I don't want to use them in a negative way, but I'm human. I may be a Christian, but sometimes I cuss. I cuss because sometimes I'm at a loss for words, nice words, professional words, because people do too much, and I'm trying to figure out how to better communicate that. Before I get to that point, that's why I got to cut people off. Because if I get to that point, I'm going to say a whole lot of things and it's going to be true, but I've just held on to them for so long that you may not have known I've been harboring certain feelings. And so
it's kind of funny you say that, because the same aggressive individual turns into the victim very fast.
How come on?
When you blow their eyebrows back.
How about that?
You know what I'm saying? And then none of what you said false.
You said blow their eyebrows?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Like,
hey,
real.
I'm gonna steal I said, wait,
she said that one's mine. That one's mine.
I got it for free, so you can have it. Yeah, eyebrows, eyelashes, everything. And it's like, hold on. Like, you was just going hard in the paint.
Right.
And you caught this elbow, all of a sudden you're a victim.
When you match that energy, they don't know what to do with it because they're used to you being docile.
But see, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I feel like I've definitely said something that I regretted, but then later in time you showed me I meant that.
Yeah. Okay. I feel that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, like I definitely regretted it at the time, and I definitely sat on it and sat and thought. But you really showed me.
Yeah.
I was right. Like, yeah. So yeah, that's my thought.
Adrian?
Yeah, I do. Thinking back to a moment, I was at my grandpa's house, and my cousin kept messing with me, just like little stuff, like it's getting on my nerves.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to him, "Your dad's in your life, and he still doesn't want you."
Ooh, eyelashes blown.
Oh.
And
You should have been the womp womp womp.
it was the first time I've ever seen him cry,
Oh.
and I've
How
That
old is he?
hurt.
I think 11.
Oh.
And that's coming from me who hadn't had my dad in my life for 5-6
Yeah.
years at that time.
Yeah.
So right when I said it, I regretted it, and I watched him cry for 20 minutes, and I really give him props now, because he had every opportunity to talk about my dad or my family situation or did something to hurt me, and he just went and isolated himself, went in the room, cried, and then came back out. Hour later, everything was fine. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Because yeah. Melissa still has her hand on her mouth. Melissa, do you have anything that you've regretted?
I was gonna say the same thing as Keela. There's definitely, and I can think of one person, someone I've said like things to that I totally regret in the moment. But then you proved me right. Like, okay, I apologize too. I was like, I really didn't mean that. I'm sorry. Can I take back my apology because I meant that, and you proved me right. I'm sorry, but like you proved me right. It was the same thing that Keela was saying. Like you proved me right, and it's trusting your gut, and I definitely could have done it in a way that was a little nicer. But at the end of the day, you did prove me right. And I was those were things that I had been thinking for a very long time that were pent up, and they kind of released in a way that could have been a lot more positive. They could have been a lot more. Wait, can I touch on a question that you asked earlier that I didn't get a chance to answer really quick?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you take more negative things from people that you know? I didn't get to answer that, and I know that I definitely do. And I think it goes back to what Kilo said earlier about the comments, especially on social media, about this generation is so soft. And I would combat that and say, but I think that we just want coping mechanisms. I think that we have taken so much, and I think the majority of the people here who answered that question, do we take more from people you know, said yes. We are constantly taking things from people that we know. I think we need more coping mechanisms so we are not constantly in a state of hurt and hurting ourselves because we are taking all of this from people that we know and not saying anything.
Yeah, I agree.
And you know what? I want to give I want to give this whole generation props because we stuffed everything
all the
You
time.
know what I'm saying? Like
All the time.
I wasn't mature enough to even have this conversation until 7-8 years ago. So I salute y'all for even being conscious and mindful of it because everything was stuffed, everything was pushed, and then that leads to bigger issues later on. So
Absolutely.
like, have a safe place to even have this conversation. Y'all dope. Keep it real.
And so I know you were about to say something, but hold that thought real quick because I need y'all to think of something. We got a couple minutes left and we're going to go a little bit over, and that's okay. I have this virtual fire that Tevin, when he done got us a fireplace. I want you to think of something that was said to you that we're going to just go ahead and disintegrate today. I want you to be mindful of what it is that you're choosing, something that has impacted your life, impacted the way that you view yourself, impacted anything, and has you thinking negatively about yourself. I want you to think of those words that were said to you. We're going to throw them in the virtual fire. Tevin, where's my fireplace, sir? Because I don't see it yet. Because a whore you're not.
Oh, man.
What are you?
Beautiful and strong.
That's right. Beautiful and strong. All right, Adrian.
Bastard.
Oh, bastard. Okay. And we need to throw those in the fire. Okay. Melissa.
Someone said that I think that I'm better than everyone. I don't genuinely love and care about the people around me.
Okay. So we're going to throw that in the fire. Who's missing, Miss Layla?
I guess no guy will ever like you because you're black.
You're beautiful, love.
Indeed.
I don't know what they was looking at. I'm looking at these rosy cheeks and the lip gloss are popping. You're beautiful. Beautiful. So I'm going to share something with y'all. I've never said this to anyone outside of my household, but I think it's important that you guys know just something about me. And I'm going to hopefully not cry. I think I'm lying.
Here it comes.
She said, A, B, C, D. Okay. So I was at home one day. I had spent all day working at the Capitol, and I had stopped to get some food for my daughter and myself and the person that was living in my house. And I was eating, and then all of a sudden there was some comments going on, and for some reason, I don't know if it was the gift of discernment or whatever, I looked at this person and I said, you know what? For some reason, I think you've been talking about me. This person brings me their cell phone, and this person is communicating with a person's job that I am currently doing, as in raising a child. And she says in the text message, Lorene may be a friend, but she is no mother. And she said the only reason she tries to boss Jada around is because she can't have kids on her own. And that hurt me really bad, because I spend time with everybody's kids and I love on everybody's kids. And for somebody that I was helping to be in my house talking mess about me, that did it. And so we no longer have a relationship because I can't trust her to be mindful of the things that she's saying. She's never done anything for me. I've never asked for anything. She's lived in my house 2 times, and she is my husband's mother, and I cannot do it anymore. And so today I am throwing those words in the fire, because I spent 16 years of my life raising a child that was not mine. And the reason that she said these things is because she thinks that she can say things behind closed doors and nobody will ever know. So I'm letting you all know I'm a human being, and those words hurt, and we're throwing them in the fire today. So that's that about that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Of course. Whoo, y'all, that was hard.
They gone now.
It's gone. It's gone. It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone. Ooh. I made it. 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 So, whew. Don't you cry. You stop it.
Yeah. I love to cry. I was
Well,
waiting for an excuse to cry.
What are we talking about next week? What are we talking about? Next week is
Addiction, right?
addiction. Okay. So next week, join us for part 4 of our mindfulness series. We are talking about addiction, whether that's being addicted to your phone, substances, or anything like that. We will dive into addiction next week. Thank you guys for joining us today. It is time to get out of here because we are a couple of minutes over. Just so that you are reminded, we do have mindfulness cohorts, MBSAT cohorts getting ready to pop off soon. So please, please, please feel free to register for those on our website, bylp.org. With that, we're going to hit y'all with the peace sign because I don't think I could wave today. I'm ready to go. We're going to hit y'all with the peace sign. See you next week right here, 4:30 PST on Facebook and YouTube. We are Black versus the Board of